Welcome to the Midland Moment Podcast, the podcast dedicated to telling the story of Midland through the eyes of its employees. I'm your host, Jeremy Wiltz. With me today is Lea Chaffee. I'm really excited to have Lea on. Lea serves as the Vice President and Executive Director of our PACE program. Welcome, Lea.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's great to be here.
So this is actually a first for us. This is the first member of the executive team we've had on the podcast, so no pressure. So we're really excited to hear more about Lea and her leadership in the PACE program, but would like to start first with Lea. Could you give us a little background about your career and what led you to Midland?
Sure. Love to. My career has been serving older adults, really since I was in high school. I started in high school and worked in dietary, and I delivered Meals on Wheels around my small town and really fell in love with the older adult population and helping them with their needs, helping them really just with whatever they needed when I deliver those meals. So from that moment on, I knew I wanted to serve older adults. And so the space that I wanted to do that in was social work. So I got my degree in social work, and then I kind of launched my career from there. So I was a social worker for 15 years, working with older adults in the home health, hospice, and then primarily nursing homes. So I worked in nursing homes as a nursing home social worker, really focused on quality of life. That was my passion. That's where my heart is someone having quality of life throughout their entire life. So I worked in nursing homes for 15 years as a social worker and then pursued some leadership opportunities. So I got my nursing home administrator license, and I was a nursing home administrator for quite a while, and then moved into leadership for a continuing care retirement community. And then just really was leaning into my passion for quality of life, and learned about the PACE program and learned about its mission to keep people in their homes and really focus on quality of life. And it really intrigued me, and I'm very grateful that I have been able to come over to Midland and serve in the PACE program.
Yeah, and I think, so we've had a couple of guests on from the PACE program before, John, and we've had Cheryl, and probably forgetting some others. But can you just kind of give a high-level overview of what makes the PACE program so innovative and so connected with that quality of life goal that you have?
Sure. PACE is a comprehensive, all-inclusive care program for individuals 55 years and older. And what makes the PACE program unique is its ability to provide every single service that an individual would need for their healthcare journey or their journey to stay in their home and get help to stay in their home. So PACE provides everything from their physician services to the home care that they would need in their home, whether they need some housekeeping or help shopping with groceries. We provide therapy, social work. There's a whole litany of things. It's all inclusive, and that entire team works together to help promote quality of life for that person, so they don't have to move out of that home that they love and that they're comfortable in. And so the entire model is based on quality of life and doing what we can to help promote that quality in those years of someone's life.
Yeah, and it's such a cool idea. I always tell people it's one of the easiest things to talk about because it has such a good mission behind it, and it really fits with where Midland is and where Midland's going. So we do have several kind of initiatives going on with PACE right now. Before we kind of talk through what those kind of are, could you give us a little bit of when you were looking for a job or looking into moving maybe out of the nursing home world into something else, what made Midland attractive to you?
Midland's mission, and where most of the services are provided are in someone's home. That's what Midland does. And the entire mission of serving individuals where they need care, which is in their home, that attracted me to Midland. I really loved the diverse amount of service offerings that Midland provides, and just the number of professionals that work here at Midland to all come together to provide that service.
Yeah, it is. It's a theme we hear each time that we're on here. The mission of Midland has attracted so many over time to here. So in your time here, can you share a few stories or a few things that stick out in your mind of ways that you've seen the Midland mission through either the employees or participants or people that you've seen in the PACE program?
Mm-hmm. Wow. To narrow it to just a story or a few stories, I could probably talk the rest of the day about stories of things I've encountered about the mission. I think one of the first things I want to share is really from probably our Emporia team and just being down in Emporia. And when I go to the centers maybe once a month. I visit the centers and check in and talk to participants that we serve and talk to the staff, and meeting participants who have just, enrolled or come onto the PACE program. And they're kind of, to be honest, they're kind of in a bad mood. They have just enrolled in our program. They're not quite certain what to expect. They've really sometimes been struggling to stay at home, struggling with their health care. And so you meet them and you get to know them, and they don't talk very much, and it's hard to engage. And then fast forward 5 or 6 months down the road, and I would visit and see that same person, and they are completely different. So they'll be very engaged and very talkative, and you can see that they now have friends within the center, and they look healthier and they just look happier. And so I could pinpoint more than just in Emporia, but every center I could pinpoint multiple stories of that same thing happening. And that's just so heartwarming to see. And then I think the most recent story, goodness, from the snowpocalypse, right? We just had all this snow. This will kind of date this podcast if anybody listens. 2 years from now, they'll be like, oh, I remember the snow. But we had all this snow, and it was so impressive to me how many employees it wasn't even an option to stay at home. Like it wasn't like, I can't get out. They didn't say that. They didn't say it's going to be a pain to have to shovel my drive. They didn't even question it. They shoveled, they got out, they drove, and they got to people's houses to help them, shovel their own drives and to give them care. And it happened all throughout Midland. It happened in every program. And that just speaks to the level of professionals that we work with here at Midland. And then just the level of caregiving, they're just very kind-hearted people that work here that just have such a heart for service.
Yeah, for those of you, I know we have a worldwide audience that may not know that Topeka got 17 inches of snow, but we did get to experience that in the PACE program, and everywhere from people that covered on the night shift to people that came in to make sure that our roads were doable, to people that went out to see visits. And numerous stories of people out helping other people that had gotten stuck while they were out doing visits. So if any of you are listening, thank you for everything that you did during that time. And when it's summer and someone's listening to this, yes, it'll be nice to remember the cool days that we are in now, as much as we would like the snow to melt. But so like I kind of hinted at before, we have several initiatives going on in PACE. We have a lot of excitement, a lot of busyness going on in PACE. So what most excites you about the future of where the PACE program is going?
In the short term, this year, 2025, is going to be an extremely exciting year for PACE for a couple of specific reasons. The first one is our center in Kansas City, Kansas, which is currently located in downtown Kansas City. We get to move that center to further west a little bit near Legends, and the new building just affords so many different opportunities. It's going to be a much better space for the participants and the staff. It's a much better location for transportation, and then it just helps us serve the surrounding counties a little bit better. So we're hoping to be moved into that building, by summer, and that's the first exciting thing that's going to happen is we've really maximized the space that we have now in Kansas City, but we've brought on a lot of new individuals who need help, and we just are outgrowing the building. And so it's exciting to have that growth in that area and the new building to serve. And then another exciting building thing that's going to happen this year is in Olathe and in Johnson County. We started serving participants in Johnson and Miami and Franklin County. In addition to our other 12 counties, we added those 3. We started serving them about a year ago. but we need a building to help provide the day services. And so we're really excited that by the end of the year, we're going to have a brand new 22,000 square foot building in Olathe, Kansas to serve those 3 counties. So opening that and moving into that is going to be extremely exciting for the program. So I think that just speaks to growth. There are so many individuals who really benefit from PACE, and the ability for Midland to grow and expand and to be able to be there for those people. It's just exciting. So in the long term, I think we'll continue to look for abilities to expand and grow, probably to help rural Kansas. I know that's really something we've been talking about. Kansas has a lot of different rural areas, and we want individuals in those areas to be able to access PACE as well. So those are some of the short and long-term exciting things that are happening.
Yeah, it's super fun to always talk about PACE. I know whenever we go to conferences, it's always fun to see, hey, last year there were this many PACE programs, and this year, I mean, the growth is phenomenal in the number of states, the number of counties that are gaining PACE programs and gaining alternatives for people that want to remain in their home. And for those of you listening that may be interested in learning more about the Johnson County expansion or interested in possibly financially contributing to that, feel free to reach out to our development department and Kevin Roberts or Shauna Slack, and they can get you more information on that. So at the end of every podcast, I like to ask a surprise question, and I feel like I had to come up with a new one because I have a feeling you might have known what my other one was going to be. So I came up with a new one just for you, just because we came off of Christmas. Wanted to make you think on the spot. What was the best Christmas present you have ever received?
The best Christmas present? Oh, this one's easy to answer. My daughter was born on December 22nd, 2007, and that is absolutely the best Christmas present I've ever received. But if you want to look for something material, I would probably say the guitar that my grandpa Kaufman gave me when I was 8 years old. It's a funny story. It was the best present I've ever received, but it's the present I never used until I was in my 20s. So, yeah. That's Christmas.
Awesome.
My daughter and a guitar.
That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Well, Lee, thank you for joining us today. It's always great to sit down and talk to you. We could probably talk for another 5 hours on PACE in Midland. Lee and I are both pro both, and we get excited every time we get to sit down and start to dream and talk about what that looks like. For those of you listening, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.